Last game week I tipped Palmer as the best captain while Salah was still an option. Unfortunately we lost a differential, that's because the Liverpool game was postponed. We almost certainly would have beat Salah, who hasn't outscored Palmer's game week 15 points in any game week all season. In fact, he's only matched it once. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future captain picks like this. Palmer retains his spot on the shortlist this game week with a favourable fixture against Brentford. The same applies to Salah, who faces Fulham at home. I would say that's a more difficult fixture, but it might not be with the players that they've got sidelined in defence. And I would argue that Isak's got the easiest fixture this game week against Leicester at home. I think Haaland's an option this game week. You either own him and you captain him, or you sell him, otherwise his points per million are too low. Looking at the non-penalty stats per 90 minutes for this season, Isak's quite far behind the big hitters as expected. He is kind of swimming against the tide when he gets one less point for every goal scored. While Salah's overperformance has been much higher than Palmer's still overperforming his underlying stats, and I do expect Salah's to regress. I did say this last game week but he didn't play, but give it enough time, the chances are that the overperformance will come down. Both players have got exactly the same expected numbers, and they're better at projecting the future return points than the actual return points themselves. I do reiterate that every game week because it's important. A few game weeks ago we could have said Salah's in form and Palmer's not, but right now that's not the case. You could argue that Salah's numbers are slightly more promising than Palmer's due to the higher output, but like I said, I do think that will regress. That could be outcome bias in my opinion. I think there's practically nothing between them. Something that does split them is the set pieces. Palmer's a set piece specialist for Chelsea. He's the main man on direct free kicks, indirect free kicks and corners. Salah doesn't get to take any of them. He barely gets a look in with the direct free kicks, depending on who's on the pitch. It's almost the same for Isak. He's slightly more likely to take a direct free kick, but he's still quite low in the pecking order. He doesn't get to take indirect free kicks or corners though, but he is nailed on pens right now because Wilson's been ruled out. The other day it was below 90%, and of course the other two players are nailed on pens as well. Looking at the probability, it's actually Isak who's got the highest anytime goal scorer odds. I suppose you could expect that with him being the striker, because he's also got the lowest anytime assist odds. It's Palmer who's got the highest anytime assist odds, and when you combine them both together, he's also got the highest anytime return odds with 72%. He's obviously got better odds than Salah because he's got the same anytime goal scorer odds and higher anytime assist odds, and he benefits from the same midfielder point scoring system. Isak's odds are weighted more towards goals, but I do like the fact that Palmer gets an additional point for every goal scored. I think it's clear to see that he's got the best odds, and for that reason of the point scoring metric, I couldn't really split Salah and Isak, who have the same anytime return odds. And as always, these odds are based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. We will take a look at the expected minutes later on in the video. The points projections are all over the place this game week. It's Salah who's got the highest overall on Fantasy Football Fix with 8.5. However, FPL Review disagree. They've got Palmer as the highest on 8.1. But one thing they both agree with is Isak being in third place. If we average out the points projections, Salah's on 8 and Palmer's on 7.7. Salah's highest is higher than Palmer's highest, and Salah's lowest is higher than Palmer's lowest. So Salah's got the best points projections overall. There's not much between the fixtures this game week. All three players have got the home advantage. I'd say Isak's got the easiest opponent in Leicester. Palmer's fixture against Brentford is also easy, and don't be misled by Fulham's numbers. So basically, one of the main defenders that hasn't missed a game all season is Bassey. He's got 5 yellow cards, so he's suspended. I'm not sure how they're going to cope without him. As for Anderson, he's ruled out due to injury, but when he's missed out previously, the defensive numbers haven't actually been that bad. There are a couple of easy fixtures in there, but obviously you can't guarantee that you're going to get good numbers. They even got 0.65 expected goals conceded against Spurs away. The only bad one was against Arsenal at home, which is another fixture which is difficult, and they did get 2 expected goals conceded, but overall in the matches that he's missed, there isn't a significant difference in the numbers. I am more concerned about Bassey. So in summary, Fulham's numbers have been pretty decent so far, and I don't think they'll get as bad as Leicester's with Bassey out. They could get as bad as Brentford's though. Before we conclude, we're going to carry out a quick risk assessment. Isak and Palmer get a week's worth of recovery. The latter was left off the team sheet at the start of the season. Chelsea didn't register him for the Conference League, so he does get that week's worth of rest. Salah gets just over half the rest that the other two players get, but I still think 4 days is enough. You can see that's reflected in the expected minutes. All three players have near enough 90 expected minutes. They've all got exactly the same with 88. Isak's would have been lower if Wilson wasn't ruled out. Initially they were 82, but now he's expected to get roughly 90 minutes. I've got no concerns over the fitness of any of these three players, and I've seen enough data. Now it's time to conclude. My third favourite option this game week is Isak. I do like the fact that he's a better option with Wilson ruled out. He's got higher expected minutes, he's nailed on pens, and he has got a favourable fixture this game week, but with the other two players also having decent fixtures as well, I don't think he quite cuts it, especially with his expected output. If you own Haaland, I'd say he's joint in third place with Isak. There's not much between them. Either way, I don't think either of them are the best captain this game week. The top two are Salah and Palmer. If Fulham weren't missing any key defenders, I'd say Palmer's the clear-cut captain this game week. That's because his underlying stats are just as promising as Salah's, and it would be clear that he's got the easier fixture. However, Fulham are missing key defenders, so I do think it's very difficult. But will the defence be just as bad as Brentford's? We don't have any data on that. We know that Brentford's defence is bad, so I think the best captain this game week is Palmer. Sorry if the audio quality has been bad. I've left it till the last minute because I've had a sore throat all week and it's still not recovered. Either way, I'm going to keep going. I've got a double upload today with the team selection video. Subscribe so you don't miss it.